Hello and welcome to another session of Learning Business Central presented by Infusion Solutions. A little bit about Infusion Solutions before we get started with today's demo. We've been in the Microsoft channel for over 20 years. We're located in Knoxville, Tennessee. We specialize in creative solutions and integrations within the Microsoft stack. We have customers located throughout the United States in a variety of different industries. We specialize in distribution, not-for-profits, higher education, healthcare, and we have a tailored solution for the wine and spirits industry. We offer consulting services on business processes, integration services, Power Platform development, GP support, and then Business Central implementations, support, and development. A little bit about me. My name is Matt Eldridge, a lead consultant here at Infusion Solutions. I've been with the organization for over 7 years now, and I help lead implementations, work on projects, and support. A little bit of an interesting fact, I do work out of Plymouth, Massachusetts, so I do work remote. I was in Knoxville for a little while and then decided to come back home closer to family. So I'm excited to get started with today's demo, so let's jump right into it. In this session, we're going to review a few different ways of how to enter purchase invoices in Dynamics 365. I am back on my home page inside of my Business Central app under my test company. What I want to do is navigate to our vendor list, so I'm going to select vendors. And then from here, I'm actually going to select my new vendor that we set up in our previous demo, Matt's Marketing. From here, I'm going to select New Document, and then Purchase Invoice. So by doing that, starting at the vendor level, then going into the Purchase Invoice, I already have my vendor information filled out for me in my Purchase Invoice here. It fills out my address information. Also to the right, it defaults our system date of 4/30/2023 as our document date and our posting date. Our due date is calculated based upon our terms set up at the document. Next, we have our vendor invoice number, which is a required field. And then I'm actually going to minimize this information and hit show less. I'm going to scroll down and hit invoice details section. I'm going to skip over the line for now. We'll come back to that. 30 days is our term set up at the vendor card. But let's say I needed to change that, and this document here is due in 7 days. So if I change that to 7 days, I scroll back up and I hit show more, I can see now that my due date has now recalculated based upon those new terms that I've. Now if I scroll back down to the bottom, I can see under my shipping and payment information, let's say that I either forgot or need to enter a new 1099 code at the time of this purchase invoice entry. I can do that here. So minimize that. And now it's time to, and I'll minimize this here too. Now it's time to enter my line information. So the thing that we'd like to do here is we can use what's called a focus mode. So if I select this little box up here and use focus mode, it really hones in and focuses in on the lines that I'm about to create for this purchase invoice. So under type here, I have different options. I can select an item, I can select a GL account, and that's what I'm going to use today is GL account. So under GL account, I can type in my number, or I can start typing ahead and typing in the name of the account that I want to use. So in this case, I know it's advertising expense. So I can click that, and then it'll fill that in for me at the line. The quantity I want to use is 1. And then my direct cost, let's say I have a $500 advertising expense. And I tab off of that, and then it'll take my quantity times my expense here and give me my total extended amount. So now, if I want to get off focus mode, I just unselect that box here. And then from here, I filled out what I needed to create this purchase invoice. Now it's time to post in this instance. So if I come under here and hit this arrow, and I can hit preview posting. And then from here, what it's going to do, it's going to allow me to look at my GL entry before I post it. So I can actually expand that here, so I don't have to scroll over, and I can see that I'm debiting my advertising expense and I'm crediting my accounts payable. And I can see for the amounts over here to the right. So all this looks good to me. And now what I'd like to do is go ahead and post this document. So from here, I'm going to hit post. And then what it's going to do is going to say, hey, this is posted. Do you want to view the posted invoice? In this case, I do not. So I'm going to say no. Good. So now I want to show a different way on how to enter a purchase invoice. And that is through a recurring purchase line. So if I'm still under Matt's marketing here, and I hit related, and then I'm going to hit purchases, and then recurring purchase lines. So from here, I actually have to set up a code for this vendor. And I'm going to drop this down, and I'm going to select new. So for this code, I'm just going to type in advertising. I'm going to make it generic. The reason I'm making it generic is because I can use this code across multiple vendors. Okay, so I'm going to highlight it, tab down, and then I'm going to paste in my description as well. So from here, I'm going to go back up, and I'm going to select my GL account. So the whole purpose of me setting this up is that I'm always going to be using, or mainly using, this type when I'm purchasing from this vendor. So if I tab off and I want to go ahead and use my advertising expense account again, have that filled in, and then I'm going to select my quantity of 1 and then say OK. So I could have multiple purchase codes here, and where that would come into play is when I set up and how I want this to show on my invoices here. So if I drop this down and I see that I have a manual, automatic, and always ask. The manual is going to make me always select which code that I would like to use on my invoices. Automatic, it's going to automatically fill that in for me. So if which I'm going to do that today and show you how that works. And then always ask is going to say, which one do I want to select? If I have multiple, and I can do that there. So I'm going to select automatic, and then notice it's saved for me, and I'm going to back out. So now I'm going to go back in, and I'm going to hit my new document of purchase invoice. And then from here, I can see my information's all filled out for me, and I'm going to go right to my vendor invoice number. Then, as I was doing that, as I was selecting, you could see that it automatically populated that line for me. So if I go back into focus mode, I can see that it selected advertising expense, my quantity of 1, and then now from here I can type in my expense. Something I did not review with you originally, and I'd like to show you now, is let's say that I have some math to do to come up with my total expense. I can do that right within this field. So let's say I have a 350, 220, 615, 22, and plus 315. If I do all that math within here, now it's going to calculate that for me within the field. So a nice, neat little feature when I'm entering in a purchase invoice. So instead of posting this right away, what I'd like to do is I'm actually going to select new. Okay. So I'm going to come up here in this plus sign and hit create new entry. As we talked about before, that just went away, but we have a save feature within Business Central where we don't have a save button, it automatically saves for me. So in this case, I created my purchase invoice, and now I want to create a new one, and then later I want to post them all at one time rather than posting one by one. So now I'm in my purchase invoice, and I did not come from a vendor this time, so you can see that I have to fill out the vendor information. So yet another difference in entering these purchase invoices. So if I start typing ahead, and I still want to go to my Matt's marketing here, it's going to fill that in for me. So I can go ahead and select Matt's marketing. And I don't want to update these lines. So it's going to automatically fill in that info. Well, let's say that I have multiple lines on an old invoice, and I'm going to get the same invoice in a later date, and I want to enter that in. Well, a nice easy way for me to be able to do that is I can hit prepare, and then under copy document, I can actually take an old invoice and copy the same thing and put it in as a new purchase invoice. So to show as an example, I'm actually going to select, instead of posted invoice, I'm going to select invoice, and then my document number. I can see the Matt's marketing that I just created, and I'm going to say OK, and then OK again here. So now that I see that I had a new line that's created from the one that we just copied from. So this line is no longer needed. And now I have my copy feature working for me in my purchase invoice. I still need to go back up and type in my new invoice number. And then from here, I'm going to hit my plus sign. And then I can go on and create new invoices for different vendors or the same vendor if I'd like to. So as I discussed before, we can save these new invoices and then post all at once. So if I go under search and I go under purchase, start typing in purchase invoice, I can select from this list here. And notice I have multiple unposted purchase invoices here in this view. But from here, I just want to post my Matt's marketing today. So I want to say select more. I can select both of these. Then I can come up under post, and I can hit post. It'll tell me that I'm about to post 2 documents, and now it tells me I'm OK. And I can see that those documents have now dropped off of my unposted invoice list. Well, that's all the time we had for you today in this session. Hope you learned a little bit about accounts payable. And for more information and next steps on how Business Central can help your team, please contact info@infusion.com. You can give us a call at 865-688-3434 or check out our website at infusion.com. See you next time.